Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Prepping by Faith, and today I wanted to share an article with you guys. This one is coming to us from winepressnews.com. This is actually sourced on Natural News, also reported on this, and they are getting their information from an interview that Bill Gates did on Jazeera back in the end of December. So I believe this interview took place on Christmas Eve when a lot of us may not have been paying attention. So I wanted to touch on a few things in here, and I think it's really important that we discuss what could be coming. This is something that I like to do, is make you aware of what we need to be watching out for in the future. So it says that Billy Goat there tells Al Jazeera how to prepare for the next plandemic and to moderate some of the insanity online. So here we go. He says that next time what we'll have are factories that are able to produce these jabs a lot faster. And so that in just months' time, they should have enough supply to go ahead and jab up the entire world. So they are working right now actively on creating these factories. I believe one of these articles in here had actually touched on the fact that they have these facilities, these mRNA facilities that they are working on, these factories now. So we know that something else is coming. And I guess our President B over there has also talked about the potential for the third time recently of us being thrust into another plandemic. So in here, there was a couple things that I wanted to touch on. I'm not going to go over this entire article. I'm going to go ahead and link this for you. I also want you guys to go ahead, if you have time, and watch the actual interview on Al Jazeera News. That way that you can see that all of these quotes that they are extracting are 100% correct. I went ahead and watched it, and I did see where he mentioned each and every one of these things. So I think that it's key that we pay attention to this. So he says, well, governments are there to protect us. And this is what he honestly believes, that governments are there to protect us. And I guess he thinks that the rest of us in the world also believe this, right? Because, one of the things he talks about is the natural disasters and how they have plans in place for that. So they should have plans in place also for, these pandemics as well. And he says the actual resources required to have a global surveillance team to make better diagnostic technologies to do quick detection. It's actually not going to be that expensive once the world gets organized and makes it a priority. And he talks a lot in here about how the more developed nations, the first world nations, need to be funding all of this global surveillance. So they talk heavily in here about global surveillance. The other thing that he touches on is, he said that the innovation side, I think, is to start to make a move, but picking how we strengthen the WHO.
The innovation side, I think, is starting to move, but picking how we strengthen WHO, create a special organization dedicated to pandemics, how we staff that, how we get every country to practice.
So they are working on creating a special organization within the WHO. And if you guys remember anything from previous reports I've done, some of you guys may not be aware of this, but there was months back, I did a live stream. I talked about what was going to be coming down the pike through the WHO. And this instrument that they are working on, this IHR, this pandemic response instrument that they were voting on, in which they are going to be essentially setting up these global rules and things that are going to be in full force across all of the countries. And this is something that even the United States was a part of, that we're pushing for this. They want this to take place. So they're putting a lot of our, healthcare and all that stuff, the guidance for pandemics, into the WHO's hands. So understand that that is the direction this is going. And he is just going ahead and reiterating exactly what their plans are. So the other thing that he mentioned, he said the big inequity was that we shouldn't have jabbed the young people anywhere until we had jabbed all of the old people first everywhere. So to me, that's very telling as well. They know that they messed up. They wanted to go after them even stronger than they did, because they could have eradicated more of our older folks. We know that they are, essentially targeting different ones. The whole point of this, guys, I believe at my core, is depopulation. Some of you may not believe that, but I think that there is, proof, there's evidence in what we are seeing. A lot of this stuff we can't talk about on here because it's heavily censored. I'm sure I'm going to end up with some tags just on this video. But like I was saying, I guess that they actually reported back in December that Moderna have cut deals to create new mRNA factories in the UK, Canada, and Australia. So this is something that they're working on.
Next time, what we'll have is factories that are able to produce far faster. And so just in a few months.
And I'm sure, like I said, once now that they have this technology, and I mentioned this before, now that they have this technology, they're going to be able to use that technology for anything else that comes out that is more of an RNA type virus that we experience. A lot of people think that it could be this bird flu. I know there was something that was, put out recently where a 9-year-old girl was infected again, and I can't remember. I think it was maybe Ecuador, but that was another direct case where she had actually been in contact with that. But they keep talking a lot about this thing potentially evolving into something that could infect us. There's also, the other things that I've talked about before, the severe epidemic enterovirus respiratory syndrome thing that they have already been doing drills for. So there's a multitude of things that could be coming at us, and we need to be prepared for any one of these that could happen. But another thing I wanted to touch on real quick before I wrap this up is they said that the digital channels definitely amplified the fact that we had all of this sort of misinformation spread, right, with some strange ideas. And he says that he thinks that it's tragic, that probably prevented a lot of people from, using the muzzles or taking the jab when they needed it. So he said that that's something that we need to put more effort into. Who we trust. And he says he's talking about empowering the younger generation so that they can take these digital tools and shape them to be more of a force for good. So basically, brainwashing, all of our younger people, which we know they have heavily been doing, so that they can then, come at us and be in control and in the driver's seat. So the more people that they have sort of under their mass psychosis, then they're going to be able to push what they want forward, right? So he says he believes that the ability to communicate worldwide, there's huge benefits. But now he says, and now we have to moderate some of that insanity that prevents people from helping themselves. So he talks about that. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on, he did say something in here that I thought was pretty telling as he kind of wrapped this up. He said that his foundation is actually aimed at reducing health and equity. And if I can clip that in for you guys, I will, because I think it's really telling that he says that. I actually heard him say that. He did say that his organization is aimed at reducing health and equity.
Well, the Gates Foundation is an organization, aimed at reducing health inequity.
And that's not the first time that he's actually said something like that. He said something like that previously too. I remember hearing that in another interview or another one of his speeches that he made. So if people are actually paying attention, which I don't think most people are, they're sort of, like I said, brainwashed into all of this thinking that, the governments are there for our good, the WHO is there for our good, all of these jobs are there for our good, and they're not paying attention to actually what's happening. We know so many things are going on right now, so many unexplained deaths that are happening, all these things that we're witnessing. And I can't go into any of that because I'm sure it will end up getting my channel a big hit. But I did want to touch on this. And guys, I'm not sharing this with you to instill fear. I'm sharing this with you so that you guys understand what they are planning, what's coming, so that we can be better prepared. And really, when it comes to these sorts of things, the best thing that we can do is just continue to prep like we have been. The other thing that we can do is make sure we're as healthy as we possibly can. I really strongly believe in all forms of, health and wellness, as well as, diet, exercise, all those things are wonderful. And anything that we can get naturally, all of the herbal remedies, those sorts of things I think are really key. Anything that we can do natural. But there are times when, natural medicine has its place, but it may not go far enough if there's something that you are trying to treat. There are instances where you may have, a urinary tract infection or something that you've let go too far. And if that gets into your kidneys, that could be a real big problem. So having antibiotics on hand, I think, is also really important, that we have those in our preps. If you don't yet have any, or you're curious about getting some, I am affiliated with Jace Medical. I will go ahead and drop that link for you in the description box to save you $10 off of your order. You don't have to get it through me. There's plenty of people that are offering this as well. But I do think that it's critical that we're as prepared as we possibly can be for whatever they are sending our way next. And of course, always, I believe in the power of prayer. I do believe that we can pray for supernatural protection from these things. I do believe that if we are doing our part, then God is going to do his, that he's going to step up, that he's going to take care of his people. And that, in many ways, we don't understand, everything. His ways are not our ways, but, he does have the ability to warn us ahead of time. And I think that, some of the stuff that we are sharing with you guys is is a warning ahead of time to be more prepared, and also obviously to draw closer to him, to be as spiritually prepared as we can and mentally prepared for the things that are coming. So if you guys have enjoyed this video today, please give me a like, share, and subscribe, and remember to pray, prep, and put God first. God bless.